let's give it a whirl. That should be something. We'll find out later. If you're wondering what that sound is, then you can hear it. And if you can hear it and are wondering what it is, rolling rocks in a tumbler. That's how you make them smooth. It's my first one, as it turns out. Step 1, 4 to 6 days. Step 2, 8 days. Step 3, 8 days. Step 4, yeah, you guessed it, 8. Patience is a virtue. And that's true. And good things come to those who wait. And that's also true, I think. But I'm not done waiting yet. I ordered a new kiln and some other surprises. It's a big day. And I got an email from the company saying that, there's been some broken crucibles. I wonder why. There she is, electronic crucible. Been going through about a can of propane a day, big one. So this should help. I'm going to get it set up. This is pretty bad. I'm going to be pretty bad on melting some metal. Well, I guess this is what they're talking about. The academic overlords, I don't know what else to call it. Basically it was decided back in the late 1800s, 1700s, somewhere around there, that alchemy was a pseudoscience, meaning fake science, right? And so they coined the term pseudoscience for alchemy, right? And that's the precursor to modern science. It's often stated in modern texts that the main goal of alchemy is to discover what's known as the philosopher's stone, which is said to be used to transmute lead into gold. From a scientific standpoint, the human body is a machine. The brain is a computer. The neurons and receptors of those neurons are input devices, right? And then your output device is you. Biochemical machines. I mean, if you look at the way we operate based off of electrochemical signaling. We burn fuel, which we, eat food. Well, what's operating the machine? And people say, well, the brain. Well, the brain is part of the machine, right? The brain is the computer, right? You don't say that your computer operates your computer, right? You operate your computer. And so what's operating your computer, right? We rely so heavily on our brain. We start to think that we are our thoughts. And our thoughts greatly dictate what we do, how we react, our emotions, right? So anyway, what the hell am I doing with my life? So I started to write a book about my life, which I've got about 6 chapters. I'm working on an album. And now I sell rocks, because that's what you have to do as an artist. Supplement it by doing something, like selling rocks. And just let people know I got the best rocks in town. And everything's for sale, because I'm not making any money. When fear gets triggered, the executive center of your brain shuts down. It's fight or flight, right? It's once you trigger that fear center, you're not thinking anymore. If I can generate fear in you, then I can get you to do anything. Fear doesn't think.
666 is the number of the beast.
So the alpha and the beast, right? That has to do with the animalistic side of human, the baser instincts, and that's largely what we see and control in the world. If you look into religious texts, and I'll stick with the most common one that is known in the Western world, which is the Holy Bible, you're going to find a lot about golden calves and sacrificing oxen and heads of oxen and getting the yoke for the oxen. You'll also find that the bull, the stag, and the ram pretty interchangeably. And so, going to the letter A, right? You look up the letter A, and you find that it represents an ox head, or just any horned animal, right? A horned mammal. You've got the golden fleece of Phrixus, Phrixus being Aries, in essence. Aries, the first constellation, which is a ram, a fire sign. And then the next one is Taurus, which is the bull, an earth sign. Wild, can't be tamed, raging bull, right? And then you have the steadfast, stable oxen. That's not budging for you. But just focusing on, from a growth standpoint, an alpha, right? A bull, being bullheaded, being dominated by instinctual thought. That's the sign of a beginning.
666 is the number of the beast.
Okay, well, 6 is carbon. Carbon is the 6th element. It's got 6 neutrons, 6 protons, and 6 electrons, according to science. And carbon is what flesh is made of, right? So talking about the letter A in the alphabet, alphabet comes from alpha, beta, which are the first two letters in the Greek alphabet. So I got interested in this about 13 years ago, and I was into looking up and reading about Hermeticism, the Greek gods, and the Nordic gods, and just how that interacts from a word standpoint, from a language standpoint, right? Because to me, if there's let's suppose that there is a higher form of consciousness, right? And if that consciousness wanted to communicate, number one, if it communicates directly, you lose free will, right? Because now you know there's something greater, and you're going to go, what next, master? Right? And that's not what is asked of us. If asked is what you can call it. The point is this: if you were going to communicate in a way that, number one, didn't interrupt free will, number two, could be easily understood by everyone, that's a trick. That takes some artistry to do something like that, and probably artistry beyond the capability of any human being, any single human being. So my new kiln that came in broken partially. Now the electronics aren't working on it, and it quit working when I was trying to purify some copper. The signal came, and the world got changed. And it's grown so strange ever since the day, that the signal came. There's too much to unpack when it comes to the symbolism of the bull on the cow. Its connection to Earth, and how Earth is the motherly. What a dumb womb. That was the first thought I had when I thought about, why are there silent letters? First thought in my head was, what a dumb womb. Something that bothered me from the first time that I heard it, is probably the word knife, was silent letters. I probably bothered my mom about this more than she deserved. Getting a lot closer here. All my metal's coming out really well now. Oh, hold on a second. One thing I didn't expect was that mnemonic has two homophones, words that sound the same, that are spelled differently and mean something different. So mnemonic, also, there's one that starts with a P that's silent, and there's one that starts with a G that's silent. Mnemonic, and mnemonic. And so it's a device that helps you remember something. And then it has to do with pneuma, the breath, which comes from the breath of life. And then it has to do with mnemonic, which is a projection map.